worth $1.4 billion and $46.5 billion worldwide. On the gaming distribution platform Steam, there's over 8 million players playing games right now. Gamers come in all shapes and sizes. The average gamer is 32 years old. Heck, even parents play video games, 80% of them. If I was to write down the number of people who have pressed buttons, it could wrap around this entire room.
Ever since the dawn of video games, one thing has always been there, the controller. It's a tool of the gamer. However, everyone has a different perception of what the perfect controller should look like. So everyone has a different hand size, everyone has a different kind of nerve ending for what context they want to press the button. So everyone has a different idea of what the perfect controller would be like. However, if you've got many consoles with many games spread across them, you have to switch controllers for every time you want to use a different console. A whole different hand feel, which can get very disorienting. Microsoft hasn't fixed this problem. In fact, they've exploited it. They've sold over 1 million Xbox One Elite controllers for $200 each. That's a lot of money just to be able to play one console with a different hand feel.
Allow us to introduce HEXIT, the controller that works for you. HEXIT is a fully modular, universal controller. It uses hexagons that can fit together in any combination to suit your gaming needs and have a fully customizable gaming experience. You can use as many of any piece to suit your hand size and gaming needs, no matter what console you want to play on. Each piece can be manufactured at a relatively low price, meaning that we can make them available to the public at a much lower price than official controllers. You can buy parts whenever you like for any console you want to play on. The only thing stopping us starting now is money. To start producing this product, we need to purchase lots of components. That's why we need you. We're asking for an investment of $150 to cover purchasing of parts, software, advertising, and prototyping. We're hoping that with your help, we can revolutionize the gaming experience.
What's the pitch?
Wow.
How'd you come up with, $150 to buy all those sorts of things? Whereabouts the pricing of the components?
Well, we've looked at the prices of all the buttons and circuit boards and things that we need to buy, and we've already bought a few things, and that added up to $70, and that was just enough to make a few pieces and get the kit to start us to make our own circuit boards and things.
Just the amount of money that we need for a full-on prototype. The retail version will most likely be cheaper than this.
Yeah, this is because we need to buy the main things that we keep throughout the whole process. And we'll need to experiment with different ways of different types of designs.
I'm not a gamer, so I don't, this is really news to me, but in terms of the actual technology and the user experience of a gamer, because you talked about the controller as being, that's the entry point to play the game. I'd love to hear more about why these configurations make the gaming experience better, because I guess what the companies are after is more engagement. This is the thing, I have an emotional reaction to this because I'm not in favor of a lot of this activity, but I'm open. I liked your pitch. I thought you guys were organized. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the research that you think you could break into this market against people like Microsoft, who've got a $200 product, and you're coming in with essentially like a Lego mentality in a way. You know what I mean? So maybe say something about that.
One of the main things is that it's universal, so it'll work on not just Xbox, not just PlayStation, not just computers. It'll work on whatever we tell it to work on, which it's been done before, but not
To this extent.
Yeah, not to this extent, not so it's customizable, and it's not always done very good. We sent out a survey a few weeks ago, got a lot of responses. We asked people different questions about what sort of games they play, what consoles they play on, and we asked if they would buy a controller if it cost less than a normal one, and if it cost more. If it cost less, 57% of people said they would, 31% of people said maybe. If it cost more, 12% of people said yes, 88% of people said maybe, and they said 8% 88% was split between maybe and no. So
I noticed in your survey questions you didn't mention that the controller was customizable or detachable. You focused on mainly if they would buy a cheaper controller.
The previous questions in the survey were saying like, would you like a customizable controller?
What would you change with your current use?
Yeah.
And what was the feedback like on that?
People are saying that it's not comfortable, it's too big, too small, they need different sorts of things, not the right configuration, swapping between consoles, they have to get a different controller.
Yep.
So problems we can solve.
Do you know how many controllers sit in a gamer's desk or room?
On my desk at home I have 3, I think. Yeah, about 3, and that's just for PlayStation, 2 PlayStation controllers, an Xbox controller, and a computer.
And you know how many people line up to buy the latest one because it's a different style or new idea? Yes.
Okay.
I have 5 engineers that work for me, and 2 of them, plus 2 university students, go home from sitting in front of a computer all day doing programming to game till 2 a.m. in the morning. So they dare not complain to me about how tired they are in the mornings or how non-attentive they are at work. Yeah, they're in their 30s. So yeah, I know a little bit about this beast, a little. But yeah.
Have you connected your product to the new Nintendo Switch at all, in some way?
We actually, the idea of the product came about when the Nintendo first announced that they were making a new console. Back then it was just NX, we didn't know anything about it, and we were wondering what the controller would be like for it. And like, wouldn't it be cool if it was customizable? But it wasn't really in the end, but we kept the idea and we kept building on it, and then we had this option, DeLorean project, and we started properly designing it and really thinking about it.
It is likely that we can connect this controller to the Nintendo NX.
You could try hacking the controller.
I think that's one of your challenges will be Microsoft, one of the largest companies in the world. Why have they not solved this problem? And you've identified a clear, issue or a problem, which is fantastic. I think it's just about how well you're able to execute the actual prototype and get it into fruition and actually to get it working and all that sort of stuff. These are billion-dollar companies that would understand this as well as to why they haven't come up with something to solve it. But you guys might be able to do it.
Yeah.
Don't
be afraid of that.
That's going to be something. That's going to be a challenge. Is actually getting a working prototype.
Yeah.
I noticed that the little compartments are all similar shape. So obviously, you'll have a one case style that will interlock together. No, okay. So
this was one of the original designs. We've changed it around a little bit, but it's basically the same because it's hexagons.
Yeah.
We've been thinking different shapes as well, not just hexagons maybe, because if there's only some small little button, you don't want a whole hexagon just
so
for
there's 5 hexagons up there. That's 5 pieces that will slot together.
The main one is the center home one. That will always need to be there. It'll be the one that sends the signals.
Sure.
And we could have like this is a different starter kit. Comes with the 5 main pieces and a chassis that you can sit it in. It's
Okay.
basic.
Cool.
People can do weird stuff with it if they want.
Yeah. Okay.
My overall feedback is I think you need to keep refining and sort of target more of a niche instead of overall, all these other consoles, because then you have to compete with more big companies in terms of what you're actually offering. So I think keep refining. The idea is good. I think we all like to have our own unique layout, customizable thing that's personal to us. So I'm going to chuck $1 in.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, amazing job on one doing your market research. You've obviously done a lot of homework. Even the diagrams and everything like that. So your presentation was, really, really well done, and you can tell that you've done a lot of work. So yeah, congratulations on that. So I'll give you $20 towards.
I wrote down in big letters research. Even though you've done a fair bit, I think there's more to do. Particularly on, well, there's a couple of letters. One would be the manufacturing piece of it, and what that's going to entail. And but also, I think what Patrick brought up is when you have the $1 billion monster out there. As soon as word gets out that you're working on this, why aren't they doing it? But if you're positioning yourselves to be acquired or something like that as a group of entrepreneurs who are users, that might be a strategy. So I'd like to see you refine that. I'll give you $5 to keep going on the idea.
You haven't mentioned patent as yet, and sorry, even in a previous group I didn't mention it as well, and it may not be something that you're really sort of considering getting into at schools, but it's still another aspect in business when you've got these kinds of ideas that you probably need to be aware of and consider. But yeah, I'll give $20 for your prototyping.
I have been thinking about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh well, naturally we'll need to get that because we want this to be our thing. I didn't really look into it too much, but I'm planning on doing it soon.
No, even a registered design is probably a quicker, cheaper way of getting something into that patentable area. Even if you actually don't do a full-blown patent,
And your
that
name.
can get quite expensive. But
Register the name if you want
Yeah.
that, because that'll go. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm putting $20 towards it because I think it's a good start. It's got legs, but the next part's the hard bit. So
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
You have to find out whether it's a go or not. You need the prototypes.
good work.
Good
Well done, fellas.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, money.
Yeah.
Shake some hands.
I'll get the memo.
Yeah.
Cheers.
It's in the
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks, mate. Well done.
A bit more there.
I'm no gamer, but it looks like it's
Thank you.